Hey guys, it's Maymay. Do you remember these cards we made? I want to say last week. My weeks blur together, but they look like this. Do you remember these? So I heard a lot of you guys asking, these are super cute and I love them, but what if I don't have a die to cut out this section and I still want to make the card? Well, you're in luck, maybe. I've been thinking about it, and I think I've come up with a way for us to have the same look without having to die. So let's see what we can do. I've not made one from start to finish yet. I did do a test of this to see if this would work, and it will, but we'll see what the whole process looks like when we're done. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is do some stamping. So this is a piece of vellum paper, and basically what vellum is, it's kind of what you've gotten in like wedding invitations before. It's that soft, this one has something on, I'm trying to get off, there we go. It's that kind of soft, it's not cardstock, it's paper, but I want to show you, it also will crease or leave a mark that you can see if you bend it. Can you see how it did that? So you want to be careful with it, and it is non-porous, which means we're going to have to treat it a little different than we do regular paper or cardstock, meaning we're going to have to use an ink in our stamping that will stay. And I tested it with the hybrid, and it worked really well. This is the Nuvo hybrid inks, and I'm using the black shadow, although it comes in different colors. We do have to do some heat setting, but that's no big deal. All right, I'm going to attempt this. I do not know. I do not think it matters which side you stamp on. We're going to put a Tealight behind this, so the light's going to come through the stamping that we do. I want to show you in my little like sample that I did, because I've tried out different things. Can you see here how I stamped underneath it and colored the image? Look inside there. You can see they're brighter on the inside than out here. All I did on this, don't look at this side, I'll tell you this side in a second. On this side, I stamped and used color pencils underneath the color. So when I put the Tealight behind it, the color was just very faint and came through, which was really pretty. Here, I attempted to do what is called like a rubbing technique, where you rub the vellum to make it turn white. I really didn't love how that turned out. It looked a little streaky, and it changed the flat nature of the vellum, so I went away from that quickly. And here I stamped on the front of the vellum so I could see what it looks like. So for the card I'm making today, I'm just going to stamp on the front of the vellum because I don't think this matters. But if you'll stick around to the end of the video, I'll show you real quick how I did this, so if you want to do that, you can. Okay, well, let's stamp. I'm going to use the stamp set called Love Is. This one has some really cute images for Valentine's Day. I thought it would work perfect for the card I'm wanting to make. And I'm going to use several images. I'm going to use the bigger heart and the smaller hearts, because I want to do kind of a, I don't know, maybe a falling heart pattern or something like that. So I'm going to load all of these guys up on my blocks, and then we'll get to stamping. I even want to use the solid image ones. And I may double load them on a block and just kind of have them already in a little cluster as I stamp them, something like this. There we go. And that'll do for now. Okay, so starting with this bigger heart, when we put this on in our card, the edges are going to be free edges. Okay, I'm not going to put anything here to hold them to the card or anything. They're just going to be loose. So I'm going to let my images go off the edge of the vellum so that it kind of is a continuous pattern. Also, I am not folding this in half right now. The reason is I kind of don't want to put a crease here until I put it into the card itself. So I'm just going to work on this guy flat. Plus, it's easier when you're stamping to work on it flat. Now, you might wonder why I put a piece of actual notebook paper behind this and not like a craft mat or a piece of acetate I can wipe the ink off of. What I discovered earlier when I was playing, and I still have ink all over my hands from it, the vellum, if you put it on a mat that will not let the ink soak in behind it, like when you're off the edge, when the vellum shifts, it picks that ink up too. So I'm using paper here because I don't want it to pick up any ink. Let me show you what I mean. See how there's a little ink on this page? If I wasn't using something that would soak the ink up, when it shifted, it would pick up that ink, and I don't want it to do that. So that's why I'm using paper. I'm trying to keep it safe in the back there. All right, I'm going to put one there. I'm going to put one over here. I honestly don't know how this is going to turn out. We're doing this together for the first time, and we will see. Now, when it shifts, you don't want it to shift, but it's hard to keep it from shifting. So that's why I went ahead and put something behind it to catch the excess ink. And the ink on your vellum is still wet, so don't rub your vellum, because we've got to heat set that to get it to be steady. Another thing you need to remember, the way I'm building this card, there's going to be a strip of cardstock at the top and a strip at the bottom to hold this on. So you want to make sure you stamp inside of that. Whatever the size of strip is that you decide to use, make sure you stamp inside of that so that your images will show. Some of mine are probably going to get lost, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. All right, while I'm stamping, I want to stamp a sentiment. I think I want to stamp 2 sentiments. This one says, I have found the one my soul loves. I think I want to stamp it here on this side. And this one says, where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. And I think I want to stamp it on the other side. So I'm going to pull those out. And I think, see what's happening is I can see my stamping behind. So we'll move this over. Yeah, so I've got all the space to put this sentiment in. Take your time on this because you're working this out and you don't want to have to redo this. You don't want to drop your stamp or wiggle your stamp. So just take your time. It's better to take a little longer on this part than to have to redo it. Lift up. Good. That worked well. All right, let's do one more. And you certainly don't have to have 2 sentiments. I just thought that both of these were pretty. I couldn't decide on one, so I decided to use them both. Put this one up here. It's hard to do. I want to make sure I'm straight. And pick that up. All right, so remembering that your vellum is still wet, I think I'm going to go ahead inside here and do a little more stamping with some of these hearts, especially the solid image one. You have to be so careful not to smear these. That's actually good. We're going to stop right there. Okay, now I need to heat set this so that everything stays, but my fingers have got a little ink, so I'm going to clean them first. I'm just using a wet wipe just to get the ink off my fingers because I don't want it to transfer, and that can happen. Okay, so I'm going to pick this up with my tweezers. These are my reverse tweezers, which will help me hold it for the heat set process. I don't need this anymore. Here's my heat tool. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on and let it kind of heat up. And the thing about this is, I'll tell you what we're looking for. Can you see the shine on this? When it dries, that shine will go away. So that's what you're going to be looking for in the heat setting process. Now, can you see how the shine on the black has gone away? That's because it's dry. Now, I want to show you a tip. This is very important. If you hold this still in one place when it's on, you're going to warp this vellum. What I try to do is keep the vellum cool. I tried not to let any heat build up behind it, and I would kind of hit it with the heat and move it. Hit it, move it. Hit it, move it. All I was watching for was for it to dry. I'm not trying to melt anything, so that's good. I'm just trying to dry, okay? So be careful. You don't, oh, I turned it back on. You don't want to warp your vellum. Now, I'm pretty sure this is 100% dry, but if you're not sure, take your piece of paper you used earlier, lay it on top, and just rub this down like this. And then any little extra bit that you didn't get should come onto the back, and that was dry. There's nothing new on there. All right, so we're in good shape. It's nice and dry. Isn't that cool? All right, let's start assembling our card base. For the card base, you're going to need 2 strips of cardstock that are, well, actually, you have an option here. I did mine at 1/2 inch by 11, but you could do them at 3/4. You could do them at 1 inch, whatever you want these strips to be. These are the pieces that are going to hold your vellum onto the card base. So mine are 1/2 inch by 11. This piece is 11 by 4 1/4. Basically, this is an A2 card base, and this is the Romance paper pack, which is so pretty. So the first thing I'm going to do is score this one in half. So score it at 5 1/2. While it's here, I'm going to go ahead and fold it over. I'll show you the back of this paper too. I think it's so pretty. And then crease that down with my bone folder. All right, and then look how pretty this is. I think that's so nice on the top. And then in here, we're good. I'm not gonna score anything else here. It's just a card base. Here, though, we need to score these little guys. And this scoreboard is too small. Let me get my bigger one out. Here's the thing about these. You know how sometimes I tell you you can go ahead and do your scoring and then do your cutting? Here's what I mean by that. Let's say you wanted to score once and then cut once. If you cut yourself an inch wide strip of cardstock, okay, you could do this scoring and then come back and cut this in half. But because I was just getting my paper ready, I haven't scored these yet, and I went ahead and cut them to the size I need. So here's where you're going to score. You're going to score at 2 3/4. You're going to score it at 5 1/2. And you're going to score it at 8 1/4. So there's one of them, all right? And then this one. Again, if you scored them all together and then cut them in half, you wouldn't have to do it twice. This is not an issue at all. Make sure you're holding your paper in place. These little strips will kind of buckle, and you want to make sure you're getting your score marks in the right place. Because I did find on my sample that a little bit off sort of matters, but not terribly. We can work around it. Okay, now that you've got these guys done, whatever side is going to be the part that shows on the inside of your card, you want the middle section of that to come forward. All right, I think that makes sense. You want that middle section forward. Then out here where we did this score, we want to fold that one back, and then we want to fold this one back. Now notice I am not like spending a lot of time creasing or anything like that. I'm just getting the bend. That's it. So forward in the middle, back on either side, and then we're going to add our adhesive. Now because I'm using vellum, I decided to use sticky tape. If art glitter glue would dry, but vellum is already so slick, I don't want to take a chance of it shifting. So I'm just going to run some sticky tape from, and let me show you where, from the first score line through the center and out to the last score line. All right. And then I'm just going to take one of my blocks and cut that away. So just between those score lines and covering the middle, that's what's going to hold your vellum on. So I'm going to start out here at the first score line, run my sticky tape down to the next score line, and then cut that away. I just use the edge of an acrylic block to do that, make it nice and straight. All right, so that's all I need for that. Now we can assemble, we can add our vellum to this. So I'm going to remove this backer, just like so. I'm going to go ahead and get them both ready. You can do one at a time. Now my pattern doesn't matter because it's just floral, but if your pattern matters, pay attention to this. Now we're going to take that piece that we made, all right? And I think I'll start with the bottom because it's closest to me. I'm going to now adhere this between those outside score marks and even with the bottom of my strip. Now that's because that's how I measured it. I measured this tall enough to go even. So see how cute that is on the front? That's going to be adorable. All right, we've got this one open. I'm going to turn it around closer to me again so I can see what I'm doing. And again, I'm going to lay this down in between those score marks and even with the edge of the strip, just like that. So I didn't crease these marks earlier, and this is where our center is going to be, but I want this to happen when I close the card. You'll see why it matters in just a second. All right, so let's bring our card base back over. That's going to be cool, right? I think it's going to be cute. All right, so here's our card base. What I want to do here is I want to lay this piece in, and I want to line up my center score mark on my little strip with the center fold of the card base. That's what I'm trying to do. So I'm lining that up. Then these guys are going to get glued straight down to the card base, and I'm going to do it just like this. There's a method to my madness. Here's what I'm thinking. If any of this hangs off the edge, I can trim it away by doing it this way. So just a little bit of glue here at the bottom. I'm going to lay this out. That's not going to hang off the edge. It comes pretty close to it. Then I think I'll do the bottom on the other side first. Get my bottom set, and then I'll do the top. So holding it even in the middle here, running a strip of glue right here at the bottom, just big enough for that strip. Lay that down into it. And then at the top, same thing. Run this one. Put my strip into it. And then the same here. Glue in the strip. In my brain, this works, right? In the first little sample piece, it worked too. I did do some stuff different on this one, so that's kind of what I'm waiting to see. Like, for example, I scored this piece first, and I didn't think that was the way to go. I think this way is the way to go. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to fold this. This is where we're going to create that middle fold in the vellum. I think this is the better option. When I creased it or scored it the first time, I didn't have a very clean or neat-looking card, and this is going to make it look clean and neat. Yep. So now my crease is perfect in the middle. See that? It does matter. Let me show you on my sample right here what I mean. Because I went ahead and creased it in my scoring tool first, when I got to this point to fold it, I got some buckling right here because I was trying to line these up perfectly. And I think not creasing this and letting the fold happen at the end is the better way to go. You may just have to trust me on that until you start messing with it at home. Look how cute this card is. All right, so now what I want to do is work on the front and then my two little side panels. So let me see what I want to put on the front of this card. So I'm using the Romance Paper Collection Kit. This is not just the paper pack. This is the collection kit, which means it comes with, I'll show you all the stuff that comes with it in case you're interested. This comes with the simple stories, the cutaway parts here, which I'm going to use some of these. And it comes with a washi tape, which is so pretty. I'm not going to use the washi today, but I am going to dig in here. I went through the cutouts on my paper pack, and I cut out this one that says, "With my whole heart for my whole life." And it's going to go just like that on a piece of black paper, and then I'm going to put that on the front. I did the black around it so it would really pop on that busy paper in the back, so that's what we're going to do there. But what I want to pick out is some pretties. I'm going to lay this flat. Some pretties for either side here, and I think I can get somebody here. I haven't opened this. Oh, look, there's all kinds of stuff in here. So let me just flip through here real quick. I don't usually purchase these. Like, if I'm in the store, I wouldn't normally buy these packs. But when they come in these kits, it's kind of cool. And I don't really have to move that because I could use it for testing stuff. See, that's pretty there. There's a clock. I'm going to flip through and just see what I can find in here. So after digging through, here's what I discovered I'm going to use. These two little heart cutouts. This piece that says Happy Valentine's Day. This piece that says You Are My Happy, and this little journaling spot. We're going to use those. Let me go ahead and attach the front on. So I'm going to glue these two pieces together. I'm not going to pop this up with any dimension. I feel like sometimes when we have something busy in the middle, like I do on this card, if I want to mail this, that can be thick enough. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to glue, I'm not going to foam dot this up. I'm going to let this be nice and flat on the front. I'm just going to center this into place. Just like so. I have it upside down, but it doesn't matter. I'll make sure I do it right on the card. So then this will get glued straight here. All right, so there's the front of the card. So I'm going to open it up, and in here I'm going to add these pieces. On this side, I'm going to put Happy Valentine's Day. Because we read from right to left, I think this will be cute to put it on that side. All right, so we read from left to right. I'm losing it, y'all. I'm losing it. Okay, so stick this little piece down that says Happy Valentine's Day. I love when you use a paper pack and everything matches, so it doesn't really matter where you put it as long as you like where it's going and it works. That's how this is working. So now this little heart I'm going to stack or layer these little hearts a little bit. Just some dots of glue here and there. Then I'm going to put this guy here. And then this little guy stacked over it. Then what I did was I chose that little journaling spot for the other side because I thought it'd be a cute way to write something in the card on that little spot. Let me put this down. And if you want to, you could write on it before you put it in. That way, if you make any mistakes, you haven't glued it into the card. So you could go ahead and write what you want to write here and put it in. But if this is not enough space for you to write your love for your sweetheart or whatever theme card you're making this for, remember you have the back of the card that you can still use. I'll show you on the back in just a second. So there's my little journal spot. So now I can write, I love you and all of my sweet little things there. And then this little guy that says, You Are My Happy. I want to put this right down here as if it's coming from the bottom. Just think that's cute. All right, so all this is super cool, but you guys want to see what it looks like with the Tealight. So here's what happens. This will then sit up on the recipient's desk or countertop or wherever they want to keep it. And then they have a Tealight that can go inside, and it's going to light up that pretty stuff in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the camera angle so you can see it with the Tealight and turn the lights out, and you'll see the finished product. So this is the card with the lights out in my craft room, and you can see how it flickers, and it just looks pretty and very soft in the light. And it'll be so cute depending on anything you put in there. It doesn't even matter. You could do the silhouette pieces like Naoka did. You could do this where you're stamping on the front. So many things you can do. And as I promised, if you'll stick around a second, I'm going to put the camera back up and I'm going to show you how I did the coloring on the vellum. So hang on just a second. So I did the same thing. This is a piece of vellum, and I stamped it and already heat set it so we didn't have to do that on camera here. I used the same ink, the Nuvo Hybrid. And on my other project, I just used my Sargent Arts color pencils, which I really love. And let's use these two colors. We'll use some orange and some pink. And because I'm doing the back side of the card, or the vellum, I can actually color right over the lines and just make sure that from the front, I've not overlapped into any sections, if that makes sense. Coloring over the stamp is fine. Coloring over those little black dots is fine. You could color with different mediums. You don't have to use color pencils. I'm just using the color pencils because they're one of my favorite things to color with. But because this is vellum and because you're using a ink that doesn't move, then you could use, your alcohol markers or I don't think watercolor works on vellum. I've never attempted it, but it doesn't seem like it would dry. Remember, whatever you can use to color on a non-porous surface, because this vellum is not going to soak up anything. All right, so I'm just going to run around, and I'm very sloppily coloring this. But you see how, because there are lines in this stamp image, I'm just coloring right over those lines. But then when the light comes through on the other side, the lines will not be colored over, and they'll look nice and clean and neat. So I think you could go crazy with this technique. And as Naoka did on her, she used a little silhouette cut out. It was a black silhouette. You could also use your silhouette stamps to do the same thing. All right, so let me show you this. So it looks like this on this side, kind of messy, but when you turn it over, it knocks the color back a little bit. It's not as bright, but all of the dimension or all of the detail in the stamp shows. And when you take the Tealight behind it, in that same, like in the sample I showed you, this is what you get. You see how it kind of takes the color and kind of lights behind it. It looks better in the dark, honestly, but I wanted to show you how to do that. And I showed you the scratching, the way you can scratch. Just real quick, just some tips in case you want to play with this, because the most fun to me is seeing what you guys do, how you take the idea and run with it. So if I take a little foam and I take my embossing tool, I can then make scratches in my vellum. So if I just wanted to, I could just make shapes myself. Now I have to be careful, because if you press too hard, you can cut or tear the vellum. But you see how on this side it looks like this, and then on this side it looks like this, so you can do that. I did run it through an embossing machine and put the Tealight behind it, because I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we just embossed it and tea-lit the back? The problem is the white lines don't light as well as the black lines. I'll show you what I mean. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but see how that kind of goes away? Or you can see it like this, but when I put the light there, it kind of goes away. It doesn't light as well as the color of the black lines do. But hey, it's your card project. You try it the way you want to. So let's bring the finished one over again so we can take a look. I just love how this card turns out. To be honest with you, I don't think it even needs a Tealight. I think it's pretty just like that. It's just kind of nice and soft and gentle the way it is. So it's so pretty. And if you wanted to make this, I keep giving y'all these ideas. If you wanted to do this as a box card, it's the same technique. Just instead of adding the vellum, just do the strip here at the bottom like this and put the box card elements in there, and then it's just a box card. So if you don't have a die to cut that aperture out, don't worry about it. Just use these little strips right here and connect your box card pieces in. Pretty simple, right? I hope you guys have enjoyed these. These have been a lot of fun. So from one card Naoka sent us, we now have 3 to decide on what we want. Let me show what I mean by her silhouette. You see how she has a silhouette cut out? It's just black cardstock cut into the shape of that little city of Bethlehem, and that's what shows through with the Tealight on hers. Let me show you the Tealight on hers so you can get an idea. Since I don't think I've shown you this, I actually didn't have any Tealights until recently, so that's why I haven't shown you. But you see how the silhouette shows through? Let me lay that like that. I'm having to do it for the camera. You normally would have this sitting up, but you see how it's here, and then with the light. Isn't that pretty? Okay. All right, guys, you know the deal. If you make one of these cards, and I sure hope that you try it, I want to see what you do over on my Facebook group called Maymay Made It, and so did I. Or you can share with us on our customer gallery, which you find from our website by going to maymaymadeit.com. Hover over the word more. When that drops down, click on gallery, and you can add your submissions, or you can look at all of the hundreds of others that are already there for inspiration for your projects. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this one. Talk to you again real soon. Bye-bye.